Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your host, Havokpus, and I am joined by frozencreek, and we had a rough weekend, Frozen. I'm not going to sugarcoat things.
Well, I had some good experiences over the weekend, not pertaining to esports. I went to a LAN party at Fort Wayne, Indiana, which was a blast. But most importantly, if you guys remember anything at all about me from about 365 days ago, it is March right now, as everyone knows, which means it's basketball season and everything is good right now. The Michigan State Spartans, aka highest former university, just won the Big Ten in a dramatic game against rivals Michigan where the winner won the regular season Big Ten title, and it was an awesome game to watch. So I'm going to be talking about basketball hopefully for another month.
Oh, nice.
It's my favorite time of year.
It's your football season, basically.
Yeah, but it's like twice as good because there's so many games to watch and tons of high stakes.
Every game. I need to get into basketball. I keep telling myself I'm going to get into like NBA, but like I forget, and then like it's already like halfway through the season or something when I remember, and it's like, well, I can't get invested now, so I just give up.
Yeah, it's not the same. I have a hard time I have enough time paying it, or hard enough time paying attention to esports, soccer, and college basketball and football, that it's hard to follow more. So I'm also a casual NBA fan. The Pistons are doing well lately, so I've kind of watched it a little bit.
Okay. Well, let's get right into the meat of things, Frozen. And I'm going to start off with some really good news. Last week we reported that C9 had this big AT&T sponsorship deal. You know, it's a big thing. C9's finally getting to pull their weight around a bit. Just when the hits, you think the hits couldn't stop coming, C9 announced that they got a new sponsorship with BMW, and that's a pretty big deal. I mean, their last few partnerships have been like Puma, AT&T, now BMW. These are like really big name brand sponsors, and I think it's high time that C9 finally like gets the recognition that they deserve and get these like super big sponsorship deals.
I mean, Puma is kind of like a cool apparel sponsor because they can sponsor all of the shoes, pants, shirts, and stuff like that. But a BMW is kind of one of those where it's more unique in the fact that they don't have a direct correlation to anything that the team is putting on stage. So it's it's pretty sweet, and I think their logo looks sick. So I'm excited to see what they do with it on their jerseys.
Yeah, for the Team Liquid match this weekend, they actually rolled up because they were having like a tailgate at the studio or whatever, the LCS arena, and they had like a C9 themed like BMW, one of those like SUV BMWs. I don't know the model number, but it looked really sick with the paint job.
Yeah, it did. I wonder what if it feels like to drive that around LA looking like that.
Yeah, it should be it's probably pretty sick.
Yeah, so big news. It seems like that they're announcing a really big sponsorship like every week at this point.
Yeah, I think that's really cool too. I think that C9's finally, I mean, with the year that they had last year, I think that definitely should probably catch, a lot of people's eyes and be like, well, they've won like so many like major titles across like multiple different platforms. It wasn't even like one or two platforms. They had accomplishments pretty much across the board at one time or another. So I think that it would only make sense for companies, especially those that are curious about esports, since esports seems to like continually grow and grow more, that like, well, we want to invest in a company that we think can like get a lot of value out of it. And I think with C9's success, I think that's definitely the way to go.
Or yeah, and now that I think about it, like it is cool to have that kind of sponsor, but it is kind of weird to think about because a lot of esports fans aren't going to be in a position or an age to be buying a BMW anytime soon, though I would like to be.
I mean, I probably am with my salary.
My girlfriend could buy me one, but she works at Ford, so I'm locked in a Ford for the foreseeable future anyway.
Why would you go with the chump American-made Frozen? It's German-made's where it's at.
I mean, I work for the state of Michigan, so I have to buy Ford or GM or Chrysler pretty much.
I see. Well, anyway, let's move on to some results, some little tiny pieces. Mango played at the Smash Ultimate Summit, and I think this is actually one of the worst results Mango got to date. He finished 13th. Mango's been struggling for a while, and I'm actually kind of curious to see with how Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, since that got released, I'm curious to see what direction C9 will go with Smash. If they're going to like pick up an Ultimate player specifically for Ultimate, or if Mango's going to switch, or what, because it seems like Melee is slowly going on the outs. I think it was recently announced that Melee wouldn't even be featured at EVO, which is like the mecca for all fighting games. And, you know, it's like one of the, if not the biggest fighting game tournament events of the year. So if Melee's not featured, you know, that's kind of a yikes moment for that community.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do think it kind of goes to show that how good that Ultimate's been kind of doing. So I've been impressed with everything I've seen and played. I feel like a Melee is kind of like one of those legacy games, almost like is CS:GO in a way. Like the fact that it's like old is like okay, just because like the game itself is so good, but it kind of is sad to like see it leave.
Yeah, I don't have either way about it. I do think it's funny that I saw like a funny Tumblr post recently where basically Melee is a game where people are basically exploiting bugs in order to like perform at a high level. And there's a player, and I think you can look this up, but there's a player that actually left a tournament and quit because he couldn't find a GameCube controller with a specific defect that was only found in like 1 in 50 GameCube controllers, and the defect was what allowed him to play really well. And so since he didn't have the defect, he couldn't play.
Oh wow!
Yeah, at least that's from what I saw. I'm not sure
that.
if like how accurate that is, but I think like I'm pretty sure that there's at least 1 or 2 news articles about it. But Melee is interesting in that aspect. Once I learned that, that's like, oh, it's basically just everyone exploiting how glitchy and kind of buggy the game is. I don't know. I have no real like connection with Melee. I would much rather probably watch Ultimate because I think it's a game that can actually be more like tuned and actually like balanced rather than Melee where everyone's like, well, I'll just play Fox. Outside of like I think a few other players who, you know, like Hungrybox plays Jigglypuff. I think there's one dude that plays Ice Climbers a lot, but that's about it. Everyone else kind of just plays like Falco or Marth or Fox or something.
Yeah, that's one of the good things is like the character diversity. So I guess we'll just have to see. Hopefully Mango can get that Wario going.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully he can bounce back. I believe in him. Moving on, our Apex Legends team. Yes, we have an Apex Legends team. They got 5th place at the Gamers Arena Invitational, which, for the first time sort of C9 being in Apex Legends, that's pretty decent. One of our players is Grego, who used to play for C9 Overwatch, but then he kind of left because of the whole London Spitfire Overwatch League thing. But it's great to see him back, and it's great to see that he's, you know, top 5.
Oh yeah, it is pretty cool to see how quickly they've rolled this out too
Yeah, for sure.
on the whole
I think
Apex pro scene, I guess, quote
I
unquote.
think I think Apex Legends does have like probably the biggest potential to actually become a pro battle royale esport and then stay there, because I think it has like a good mix of guns, mechanics, and the whole character class system, kind of similar to Overwatch. I think that all those things kind of come together to make the game like really interesting and really spicy, and like, oh, this is really really fun to watch and actually like get into, because it's also really good, like good looking, like graphically it's really nice and shiny. So I think that Apex Legends does kind of have that potential. Um, but yeah. Also, speaking of battle royale, PUBG. This is sort of the second half of the NPL spring season, I believe, and PUBG is in second place yet again in the standings. So, I mean, our PUBG team is killing it, Frozen. I'm sad I can't watch them a lot, because I think like I miss when they come on, or the matches. But I'm really proud of our PUBG team. They're starting to become like just this really consistent force of placing really well and really holding it down. So big props to them.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I'll be
It's
honest.
okay.
I just I saw it pop up on my phone because I turned it on notifications for the Twitch channel, and I must have been at the LAN or something because it just completely slipped my mind. So I'm gonna say it here. I'm gonna find what the schedule is, and I'm going to try and watch shit again this week.
Yeah, for sure. I at least want to grab one
Yeah,
game, because
I've already watched one. So if you haven't watched one, I'm doing better than you.
oh yeah, you do you have those PUBG brownie points. I can't deny you those.
And I've played PUBG within the past month, I think.
Oh, you're just upstaging me left and right.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a big deal.
All right. Well, hopefully they can continue their excellence. Go PUBG. Moving on to Overwatch. The British Hurricanes had a pretty exciting match between Samsung Morningstar. I forgot what was going on that I missed that game, but I saw there's a clip of a Happy Cool doing this really sick diva bomb, and I think it was on the last map too, to help pull out the 3-2 win. But yeah, I think the Hurricanes they're back at it, and I think they have like a really great. They're in a really good spot with like a really good roster and everything. And personally, I think the Hurricanes can maybe even pull out another contenders championship.
Yeah. Do you know the rules of how players can move back and forth between contenders and Overwatch League?
I think it's pretty free forming. I think if I think because like oh heck, who is I forgot his name. I feel really bad for forgetting his name. He's our main tank player, I believe. Heck. Numlock, yes, because Numlock was in like the first season of Overwatch for I believe it's the San Francisco Shock. Oh no,
I'm
he
not
was
sure.
he was for the LA Valiant.
I was mostly just getting to the fact that we should just bring up our contenders team during goats and
fly them fly them
our
out to LA.
then let the Spitfire just teabag some contender teams
That would
and try and find
really
a counter to goats.
that would be so funny.
Wait, hold on. Is our game on ESPN this week for the
Spitfire
Spitfire?
versus Shanghai, or not Shanghai,
It has
Seoul.
an E on it,
Yeah,
like
that means it's
an
on.
ESPN logo.
I think the E means it's like ESPN streaming. I know, like,
Oh, okay, that
I
is
know
true.
last week Overwatch League was on Disney XD, and like it was just on TV.
Maybe that's what it means.
I know if it has a D, that's definitely what it means. I'm not sure for E if it's on like
It
television or just
has the
like
XD and then
ESPN streaming.
so
Yeah.
maybe it just means ESPN at 3 or something. All right, that doesn't count.
Anyway, um,
Sorry,
well,
a
speaking
small
of London,
distraction.
speaking of London, let's just go right into it. I was really disappointed with how London played this week.
I mean, that's one way to put it.
I mean, so to actually dive into this because I have a lot of frustration. This looked just like London in their like season one, stage three, stage four form. They looked half the time they looked kind of lost. Jester definitely had his moments where he was really struggling on Reinhardt. But I think overall, just the team like was really struggling, and they looked kind of lost, and they didn't know what to really do with their strategy and how to break open the games at certain points. And it was really rough because it would be like London dominates one map, and then immediately the next map they would just get just slaughtered, and they'd look like not even the London Spitfire that you'd expect. And then they'd go right back to dominating, and then fifth map they basically had it, and then they kind of choked, and it was really frustrating to watch. And I don't know where they improve. It might just be that this particular patch and the meta for this stage is just not theirs, and they just can't really thrive in it. We did get to see them run an actual DPS composition, and they looked fairly good on it, which is good news. But you know, just seeing them kind of really struggle, especially when it's hot and cold like that. I understand that sometimes that happens to teams, but I don't know. I feel like we have to put London at a very high standard because this is a roster that was brought in to win championships. This is a roster that won a championship. So I think that I may be nitpicky and I may sound like an idiot. I'll own up to that. But I think that yeah.
I agree with everything you said. One thing I was kind of thinking is like since Goats is like the med right now, I feel like we should be also spending some time trying to figure out how we can counter it, because obviously it doesn't quite play to all of our strengths, even though we have come a decent way towards getting better at Goats, which is kind of sad considering that we knew that Goats was going to be the meta going in, and that we should have been a lot more prepared for it. But we've still made some progress in the past couple weeks, getting up to speed with the other teams in the league, kind of.
Yeah, I think another thing that was really disheartening was like we looked like we were doing like a steady improvement, where like each match we were like looking better and better, and I was hoping by the time we faced Shanghai, we would just steamroll them and go like, okay, London's finally figured out how to play Goats and how to do this efficiently enough to where they don't have any problems. But that may not be the case.
Yeah. I will say that the quality of the match was pretty high. The last map or two was fast paced. It was very non goats, which was good to see for once.
Yeah, for the final round, for map 5, they definitely did play like one sort of DPS versus DPS, which was extremely refreshing. And I was like, yes, this is how Overwatch should be, instead of just like a really boring, slow ultimate charging slugfest. But then they went right back to that, and then I was really upset.
Yeah. The good news that despite all of our poor performances, London is actually still in a reaching point to get to the stage playoffs. They are technically the worst of the 3-3 teams based on map difference, but they are actually tied with the last playoff team, the Guangzhou Charge. Guangzhou, did I say?
Yeah, yes, it's Guangzhou.
Guangzhou. Okay. Yes. So they're both at 3-3. Their map difference is better, but that's something that can be overcome with a couple of wins this week. And on that note, we actually only have one win, so we can only get one of those this week. We play the Seoul Dynasty. It's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That doesn't sound right. Oh, that's on Saturday. That's why. Okay. No, never mind.
Yeah, it's on Saturday, you goof.
Right. Okay. Fuck. Okay, so yeah, it looks like there's 2 weeks left. Counting.
Yes, for stage 1, it's this week, which looks like everything is on Saturday, Sunday, and then you have the stage playoffs, which is next week, and then stage 2 starts in looks like the first week of April. So they'll have probably like a 1 or 2 like week break, and then they will resume, and hopefully some meta changes will happen, and hopefully the team will get to shake off some of their issues and whatnot.
Yeah, Lord knows that they need that right now. All right. Yeah, let's move on. We are on to League of Legends now.
League of Legos. I think just really quick, we should probably just go ahead and talk about the 100 Thieves game, since nothing really happened. It was pretty one-sided, pretty precise. Sneaky smurfed on Corki, which people have been saying that's like a perfect champion for him, which I kind of agree, because it doesn't really matter. Like, Corki isn't about like smashing lane and then like taking over the game. Corki is like, just hold your own, wait until you get Trinity Force and like maybe another item to really hit like a item spike, and then kind of join your team and fight, and then do really well there. Which is like classic Sneaky. That's like what Sneaky is known for. So I think that Corki's like a really good champion here for him. But other than that, there wasn't really a lot that happened. C9 just kind of steamrolled 100 Thieves in pretty good fashion.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I really like the Corki pick also. That's about it. I'm a huge Corki fan, and I know he was spamming it at the beginning of the season in solo queues, so I'm glad to see it pay off, rather than a bunch of free low on the ladder.
Yeah, for sure. I think also we've seen a few matches where Corki's being played mid to counter LeBlanc, so it's kind of fun to see that matchup again, because rather than just being kind of like LeBlanc into Lissandra, where it's more of just like no one's going to fight, like the Corki Lissandra is very much like, it's more of a skill matchup, because Corki has enough burst damage in his kit, and I think his passive grants true damage, where he can, if he plays it well enough, he can out damage LeBlanc. But if LeBlanc is good with her poke and like can dodge some of Corki's spells, LeBlanc can win. So it's like a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, and he does a really good job just kind of farming in lane. If I remember right, the E gives armor penetration.
It grants armor shred.
Yeah, armor shred. Yeah, that's the right word. And then the passive, I guess I can't remember what the passive is. It's been a hot sec since I
his passive
mid.
His passive, I believe, grants like a percentage of true damage. Because it used to be magic damage, but then I think they changed it to true damage.
I mean,
or maybe they changed it to magic damage from true. I can't remember.
I'll let you introduce Team Liquid, and I'll find out the answer.
Alrighty. So Saturday, C9 played against Team Liquid. This was a big rivalry match. Everyone was really hyping it up. Team Liquid was crushing everything with only one loss. And C9 looked like they were really gaining momentum, like just beating opponent after opponent. And it looked like C9 could maybe even win, but that didn't happen. And it was kind of a frustrating game. Looking at their comp, it looked like everything kind of went well together. It looked like they were just going to try to like shut down Double Lift, but you gave Svenskeren Aatrox, and I think Svenskeren tried to snowball his Aatrox pick by like fighting like early. You know, you had that level 1 gank on the Jensen that Svenskeren kind of misplayed. And it kind of just went horribly wrong from there because Svenskeren had like so many misplays. Also, just in general, the team looked really lost with how they played fights. There was like multiple instances of just having like split fights where like 4 people would be on one side, but then you would just have one person fighting like 2 or 3 people on their own for whatever reason. And I think just the constant fighting and all the misplays out from Svenskeren, you know, not to call him out, but it was there were a lot of misplays on it. I think he definitely wasn't super comfortable with the Aatrox pick. And I think that a lot of the misplays by him and the rest of the team just kind of let the game just easily kind of slip away from them.
I am going to offer some counterpoints. I think you can maybe argue that Sven maybe not or may not have been completely comfortable on Aatrox, but I don't actually think us losing was actually his fault. The team actually had a lot of other problems playing around him. First off, the level 2 gank for...
It was level 1. Niski didn't hit level 2 yet, so he could have stun.
Niski was level 1. But Jensen and Svenskeren were both level 2.
No, I think Sven was level 1 as well.
He had a red buff.
Okay.
He was level 2. So he took red buff, went mid, and Niski didn't push hard enough to get level 2. So while he should have backed out after the gank or after the Jensen flash, and we would have came out ahead. I still think that was more of a coordination issue than just like a straight up Sven is feeding or something. And Xmithy had a good jungle route to get there in time too and turn that around. Another thing I'm thinking of, in one of the fights in the red side blue buff jungle, even though Sven wasn't exactly that strong, he was able to 1v2 against, I think it was Jensen and Double Lift for sure, and he completely removed him from a fight. And Sneaky and Niski could do nothing to kill Xmithy, and it must have been Jace.
Yeah, Impact was playing Jace.
Yeah. Whoever else was there, in that Sven actually did his job pushing out Double Lift, who was a Fed at the time, and he actually almost won that 1v2. I think that the fight had more to do with we didn't have anybody to pull the trigger and engage, which I think is more on Zazel than anyone else, because he was our main engage this match, and he didn't really do anything with his a flash or with his ult. And that I think if you would have been prepared to fight and pulled the trigger and fought on our terms, that we would have had a lot more luck.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I do think they I think that, coupled with the fact that they were always looking for fights, I think kind of helped them lose the game. Still, you know, they were looking to fight, but no one could really engage properly, and so they would have these really sloppy fights, and then would lose. And then, like, as soon as everyone respawns, they're like, "Okay, let's fight again." And I'm like, "No, please, just farm a bit. Don't." And then, you know, they lose another one, and then it just kind of gets out of control.
I'm going to minorly disagree, because I did have a Rakan with a flash up probably half the game, and we didn't do anything to fight on our terms. And whether that's a team issue that they weren't prepared to fight, a mental issue or not, like, we had the ability to engage, and we just didn't do a very good job playing around that. Like even throughout that whole match, up until the last maybe five minutes of the game, like Team Liquid's gold lead was not that high.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we would have been a little bit smarter as a team and actually played to our win condition of starting off fights on our own, like at Elder Dragon, as opposed to just watching them take it, like that's a game that we could have easily won. And I hope a Reaper gave them the paddle, because that's something that we should win in playoffs. I don't think Team Liquid's quite as good as everyone has hyped them up to be. Also, I'm gonna do good on my promise to watch some PUBG this week, because we are recording this on Tuesday night at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and PUBG MPL is actually starting literally right now. The stream popped up, so I'm gonna turn.
That's such a weird aside.
A weird flex, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, weird flex, but okay, Frozen.
Yeah, but that's my opinion, and I think that Cloud9, while I do think that their gold generation macro is, in my opinion, the best in the league. Like, I'd be interested in seeing their biggest deficit at this point, and seeing what like their average deficit is, or when they're quote unquote losing the game, because I think they've came back to win quite a few tower and killed differentials just based off the fact that they're farming well, and their map movements are really good too.
Yeah, I guess the it's not the end of the world, considering Team Liquid and then that weird DLG game. They're the only team, I guess, to really beat us. We have, at least the good news, we have for sure clinched a playoff spot. Where we land will be determined by the next few weeks.
So yeah, just a little update. We have 4 games left. I'll read them off in order. This week, we have FlyQuest at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, then Clutch Gaming at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Shit, no, never mind.
No. We got Echo Fox and Optic.
Echo Fox at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this week on Saturday, and then Optic at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on St. Patrick's Day. Then FlyQuest and Clutch Gaming. Only one of those teams is at 500. So, and FlyQuest will maybe even be under 500 when we play them, because they play Team Liquid this weekend.
Yeah. I think transitioning over to the upcoming games, at least this weekend, I think this should be a slam dunk for C9. I believe Optic is pretty close to the bottom of the standings. Oh, they're actually tied for 5th. Huh. I think Echo Fox is actually tied for last place, and I think that should be a pretty good slam dunk. I mean, they pretty much just imploded. I think Rush's underperformance, as well as perhaps the rest of their roster, just kind of they have no idea what to do anymore, and I think everything around Echo Fox just kind of crumbled, and their season once again they're in the doghouse.
Yeah, there is no reason that we should lose a game on out of here. Looking at the standings, we probably need 13. 3 wins would guarantee us a bye in the first round at this point.
Did you
slips up?
Did you get my joke with Fox and Doghouse? Did you get it?
Technically, foxes aren't dogs, so no.
Look, they're related closely to canines. I'm gonna take it.
All right, I missed it. No.
Okay then.
I'll give you snaps.
Okay. All right.
But
Thank you.
actually, we only need 2 wins to get the bye because we have the tiebreaker over TSM. So
Yes,
if
that's
we
correct.
win this weekend, then if we win both of our games this weekend, then we get an automatic bye.
Easy, or
Off
at least
my
just go 1-1,
amateur calculations.
or at least go 1-1 within the next 2 weeks, which I think is pretty easy for Cloud9.
Oh, we should just go 2-0 and guarantee the bye. That's a
Okay.
lot easier.
I'm just trying to give us wiggle room, Frozen, but
and and then we can bring up golden glue or something and sandbag a game or two.
yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. So.
Optic or Echo Fox, I apologize. Echo Fox looks like a pretty easy match, but Optic could be a bit of trouble. I know they've been like swapping junglers out between Dardoch and Meteos. I think that I know Crown has pretty much wanted to play with Arrow since he feels he has a better synergy with Arrow, so Arrow's been playing. I think we can still win. I think it depends on who's playing jungle for Optic, as well as the type of matchups that we can develop. Because if we get good matchups, especially in bot lane, I think Sneaky and Zazel beats Arrow in big hard. Like Sneaky, I don't think has ever really been smashed by Arrow, except maybe that one season, like where Eric, like Arrow when he first started playing in the LCS, he was playing for P1, and they got like third. But I think other than that, Sneaky has always like smashed Arrow in lane. I think him and Zazel are superior to Arrow and Big, so I think we win at least there. And I think Licorice Dokla's been like a surprising player, right? Like he's actually been looking pretty good despite not really being like one of those super big names. But I think that Licorice should win out for Dokla, so we have like 2 of the 3 lanes covered. And I think it will most likely come down to like probably winning those as well as like mid lane matchups, and if Svenskeren can sort of out strategize Dardoch or Meteos.
I don't think there's much of a reason to expect us to lose any of these games. The FlyQuest game might be the hardest one that we have left. But
For sure. They've been playing like really good this season.
Meteos showed up last game, but he didn't quite have the support to win the actual game. So I'm expecting a 2-0 this week. I don't see any reason why we should expect a hiccup. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to see a different maybe jungler or mid laner at some point, just to throw a wrench into things. But
yeah, I could definitely see putting in like Blabber or I could actually totally see Golden Glue coming in for Niski when we play Echo Fox. Just because Echo Fox has been having such a poor season, I think that Golden Glue could probably take on Phoenix, or Blabber could probably beat Panda.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it would actually be cool to see Kuma play one game. That would be like the thing I want to see.
That would be interesting, but I think that Licorice has been like such a cornerstone for our play in recent years, in like recent, like last year and this year so far, that I don't think you would want to pull Licorice.
Oh no, I mean like realistically, if we guaranteed ourselves a buy, I think it would be cool to see like.
No, yeah, if we guarantee ourselves the buy, that would be sick.
For sure. I still don't think it's going to happen, even if we do, but it would be cool to see.
Right. But yeah, I think that's about it. Do you have any other things you want to maybe say or talk about?
No. At some point, I do want to talk about the Oracle Elixir win probability calculator that came out last week, but we filled up every episode so far, so that might be an end of season thing.
Yeah, I think that could be a cool little thing to talk about.
Yeah, so I'm going to go and watch the MPL. Oh no, it's MPL Contenders, I think. Is that the same thing?
I don't think so.
Oh fuck, okay. Oh man, I was trying and not to swear on this episode too.
You failed in both of your missions.
Also, Corky's passive, Hextech Munitions. Corky's basic attack deals a percentage of their damage as magic instead of physical. That's a poor.
Okay, yeah. So they changed it from.
Yeah.
I think it was true damage, but then they changed it to magic damage, and the magic damage, and why Corky was a lot more valuable after his like mini rework, is that the magic damage plus he scales off of AD, so you build AD and you get that extra bit of magic damage. And I think also with the new runes as well, since you have that adaptive damage or whatever, he ends up just giving like a lot of burst damage, and it's really hard to like defend against that as well as, you know. So yeah.
Or yeah, he's been good since they did his mini rework. I'm not exactly sure why he ebbs and flows out of the meta, except the fact that
I think it's because he's slow. He's slow, as well as I think there are just other AD carries that outshine him. Like when Kaisa was first revealed, like Kaisa's basically a souped up, more mobile Corky.
A souped up everything.
Yeah, yeah. And Ezreal's sort of the same deal now, since people are building like this hybrid build of getting both tier items as well as building spell pen boots, and you know, building him kind of that way. Ezreal's kind of a similar thing. His poke damage is better than Corky's. You know, he's a lot safer. So yeah, I think that's why. I think he just gets overshadowed a lot.
Yeah. I do like to see him back because he's one of my favorite mid laners to play. I'm just not good enough to get him up to his power spikes fast enough. But yeah,
building. That's sort of why I like kind of don't like Trinity Force, just because it's kind of an expensive item. Like the components aren't like expensive, but like it, if you're not like super good, it kind of takes a while, and I don't like that.
Oh, I remember what it was. The changes to that one item that everyone rushed, as opposed to
the Storm Razor.
Storm Razors. That was one of the big things, because it kind of threw off his build to like he wasn't very good. With like Infinity Edge Rush, but like it was super expensive to go Storm Razors as a second item and stuff.
Yeah, it threw off a lot of build paths, and I think that's why we saw Ezreal and like Lucian and ADCs like Kaisa, and I think maybe Xayah like is the only ADCs that like were like actually viable, because like those were like Kaisa and like Xayah, right? Like they can work because they and Sivir also, like they can actually leverage the Storm Razors like passive and everything. But then you have like Ezreal and Lucian, because like, oh, they don't need to rush this item that doesn't necessarily work with everybody. So that was why we were seeing those people a lot, I think.
Yeah. I have more I could add, but I feel like we are at a good spot to end.
Yeah, we're kind of actually rambling about. I would love to theory craft and talk about build paths and whatnot, but that's not what the people are come here for.
Alrighty, well, I think that's it then.
All right, well, thanks everyone for listening to another rousing episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fancast. Make sure to catch us on Twitter at C9Bodied. Hit us up if you want. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye, guys.